Glacial erosional features are looking at things in the landscape that have been carved by ice as it flowed out from a region. So what we're going to look at are some of the landscape features that are recognizable to a glacial erosional environment, and the images that are used on these sheets were either released into the public domain by the person who took the photograph and are not required to have a credit for the photo, or those that are required by their copyright license to have a photo. You will see it listed at the bottom of the sheet. So the first glacial erosional feature that we are looking at is called an arête. An arête is a sharp, steep ridge between two glacial valleys or cirques. So in the photo we see this very steep ridge. We're standing, or the person taking the photo was standing inside one of the glacial valleys. So it's very steep on this side, then it would also be very steep on the back side into the glacial valley next to it. The next glacial erosional feature to look at is a cirque. A cirque is a bowl-shaped erosional feature that is typically high on a mountain where the glaciers began to form. So as we look in here, we can see a few bowl-shaped erosional features high up in the mountain where ice first began carving away at the rock up there. The next feature we have is called a hanging valley. A hanging valley is a U-shaped valley because glaciers form U-shaped valleys that truncates or ends into a larger valley. So we have the valley that has the waterfall right here. This is our hanging valley. A glacier was flowing through this valley and then fed into a larger glacier that in the past was flowing through the main valley in the foreground. It's called a hanging valley because it's hanging up above the main glacial valley for that large one. The next feature we have for glacial erosional features is a horn. A horn is a sharp angular peak formed by glaciers eroding from multiple sides of a mountaintop. So we can see how steep and tall this peak is as glaciers were eroding, going multiple ways down the sides of that mountain. The last glacial erosional feature that we're going to talk about in this video, there are several more that we haven't covered, is called a Roche Monet. A Roche Monet is an oblong hill of bedrock we can see here sticking out in the foreground of this photo. It is asymmetrical in shape and it points the direction the glacier came from. So for a Roche Monet, you have a shallow side to it that is very polished and smooth. That is the side that the glacier was flowing from. On the downflow side, meaning the ice was coming over this, going down this side, we have a much steeper face to the Roche Monet, and we also have a lot of plucking of rock. So it's not as smooth, it's very broken up because the ice would refreeze to the rock and then pluck pieces of it out. These are some of the glacial erosional features that it is good to be aware of when doing an intro geology lab.